when it comes to strategy, first we have to understand and audit what we have and what we have of value in any brand or business or organization. Where is our equity today, so we don't accidentally throw out something, or we don't overvalue, our blog or whatever just because we have a million posts, but understand what we can leverage from it and the standing of it.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast, an auditory journey through the latest in marketing, branding, and advertising. Now, here's your Marketing Expedition guide, Ray Allen.
On this episode of the Marketing Expedition Podcast, I get to speak with Corey Morris, and he is an experienced industry leader, best-selling author, and the owner-leader of Voltage Digital Marketing Agency. His new book, The Digital Marketing Success Plan, published in July of 2024, details why companies need a documented, objective, and accountable digital marketing plan in today's era of unprecedented change in the digital marketing industry. He provides the context for why having a plan is important, real stories, and how-to content for creating and implementing a plan, leveraging his 5-step S.T.A.R.T planning process. It's an acronym, S.T.A.R.T. So we're going to talk about his book and some stories of how he has grown and with his clients, and some ways and tools that he's used, and lots of good nuggets for him, and how, mostly importantly, getting an ROI from the digital marketing space. So we're going to get into that. But first, let's talk about your marketing essentials moment, the basics that you need to help you continue to build your brand and your bottom line. Today's topic, I want to cover the benefits of joining a business peer group. And for me, I get to join a peer group with other agency owners across the country, and I love it. I get to share some ideas or maybe some issues that I want to process or run by other people who are doing something similar to what I am doing. And really, it's a great way to have a collection of these companies that are similar to ours in the industry, or maybe niche or size, and we can talk about some benchmarks and some goals that we might be having, how we can be reflective of the performance that each of us are contributing into the peer group. And I love to give my experiences after doing this for 21 years, but I also love to get the experiences of others, whether they've been in business for 20 years like I have or not, right? Sometimes you can get new, fresh ideas from people who are in the startup mode versus those who maybe have been in business for a couple of years. And it's just a great way to gain a lot of different perspectives and maybe some ideas of tools and tactics that they might be taking, or if there's new technologies out there that we could be utilizing for the rest of the group, and some maybe other vendors that people have used that they would recommend or not. One way that I was able to find our new outsourced bookkeeping service, we use a proprietary software in our industry, and I was looking for somebody who already had experience with our software. And because of my peer group, I got a couple of different recommendations from people who have been in the industry for a while, and landed on a new service provider, and we're going through the transition now. And so far so good, but I would never have known about the services had I not asked my peer group. So if you are in business, whether you're in marketing or you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader at a company, I highly recommend that you find other people who are similar in your industry, and not necessarily competitors in your specific market, right? But because we have this peer group of companies across the nation, and we do some national work, but sometimes you can call on other people or other agencies who are in the area and have, if you're traveling somewhere and you know that you're going to go where somebody in your peer group is, it's fun to see them face to face and have dinner with them or spend some time with them, and they can show you their agency or show you their company around wherever it is that they're going or what they're doing, right? And it's a significant way to impact and influence your own business decisions, because now you've got other people who are like-minded, who are maybe experiencing some of the same trials and tribulations or challenges and opportunities that you are as well. And maybe there's some sources of knowledge that you can gain because of these people that you can lean on and rely and come to trust and know. And there's other opportunities. Sometimes, if an agency isn't able to take on a company or a new client because it's a conflict of interest, then they put the opportunity out there. And if it's somebody that can fulfill that niche or need, then now there's another opportunity. So it's really not a competitive space. It's maybe there's some co-opetition or some ways to partner with other people. We do some things that other agencies don't, or they do things that we don't. So sometimes calling on partners to help you do what needs to get done for your clients and be able to work with them. And gosh, the power of that peer-to-peer group is just so wonderful, to be able to have that trust and lean on them to process those things. And we do pop-up Zoom meetings whenever anybody can, and we have a board, a forum basically that we can post to and ask questions. And we're even doing some little competitions, if you will, of different topics and strategies that we want to share and showcase. And anyway, it's just, that peer-to-peer group can really be super powerful. Maybe there's a new concept or a new idea that you want to integrate into your business, or a new way of processing things or doing things. Maybe you need some guidance in your handbook about how other people have addressed a certain specific topic, like vacation time or PTO, or I don't know, how you're paying your people. Those are all just wonderful topics to explore and talk to. And there's lots of different types of peer groups out there. There's Vistage, there's Entrepreneurs Organization, there's just a lot of these YPO groups and just beneficial groups that you can be a part of, and just do some research, do something that's going to find and fill that need that you have, so that you can not necessarily always be lonely at the top of as an entrepreneur or a leader. You've got other people that you can lean on, and brain power, right? Sometimes multiple brains are better than just one, and processing those ideas and situations can be super, super helpful. Anyway, so hopefully you can glean some good information. And if you're looking for a peer group, if you're another agency owner, reach out to me, let me know, and I can connect you and set you up with a peer group if that is something that you need. And I've done this. I've had lots of different peer groups over the years, or mastermind groups, even people without or who are outside of my industry. But it's just a great way to get new ways of doing things and continuously staying on top of what's new and next, and what kind of technologies and tools you can use, and all of those things for processing and all that. All right, enough said. Let's get into our next interview. Welcome to the Marketing Expedition podcast. I'm your host, Ray Allen. I'm the president and CEO of Peppershock Media and the founder of the Marketing Expedition community powered by Peppershock. And today's guest, we have Corey Morris with us. Welcome to the show, Corey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I always like to dig just a little bit deeper. I know we have your bio and that's all good, but I want to know more about you and how you got to where you are now.
Well, this is I could take up your whole episode with the zigzag path of my career, but the short version is this is the 20th year of my career, so some fun milestones this year.
That's a big milestone, yeah.
Thank you. It's also the 20th anniversary this year of Voltage, the digital agency I own. Mm-hmm. But I started my career as a project manager straight out of school in the digital spinoff of a traditional agency. Before everything was open source on the web. So learned some HTML skills along the way and parlayed that a couple of years into moving over into something more strategic in SEO. So the agency I worked for at the time, I'm thankful to this day that they invested in sending me to California to some industry leading training at the time, and facilitating my move into SEO. And over time, I started kind of informally having paid search roll up to me, and I had email marketing experience. So I ended up at Voltage and leveraged that into starting a digital marketing team and more of a creative agency. We became digital over time, and fast forward to today, I am now the sole owner and CEO of the agency after going through a succession plan, buying out one of the co-founders a few years ago. So it's not I could have never guessed the journey. It's not one that you would see on a career ladder, but it's I wouldn't necessarily change the experiences I had. I might have changed what I invested in knowing and learning and planning at the time to make things go a little bit smoother. But yeah, that's where I am today.
Well, in those types of experiences, right? It's like they say, fail faster, fail forward, and really, it's not failing; it's just learning. And yeah, I've definitely done the same thing where I've invested in things that I'm like, why did I do that? Understand completely. So let's dig into some of the digital marketing tactics and things that you deploy, and maybe some success stories of some clients that you've worked with and helped along the way. I love it because our audience gets to pick up nuggets of things to think about and consider when they are doing digital marketing, digital advertising, SEO, all the things that you talk about. But can you share with us maybe one of your customers' journeys that you went through to help them get to where they are now?
Yeah, so let me actually take you. I'm going to take the negative side of this. Let me take you back to probably a fundamental, big key learning in my career.
Yeah.
I'd been doing SEO for just maybe 6 months. Had just we had landed some clients, some smaller clients in terms of budget, but it was a big investment for them at the time. One of them was a local attorney.
Mhm.
And I was excited because we were at month 3 or 4, and I had his report ready to go. Back then, I printed it all out on paper,
Right.
on nice glossy heavyweight paper in color. I had all the keyword reports showing everything in great positions. I had traffic in good positions and increasing. And most importantly, what I was excited about is I had conversions. I showed almost 20 conversions through
Yay.
his website. Walk through the report with him. He comes into my office. We walk through the report together, and he's silent. And then I get to the end, and I'm excited with all these graphs up and to the right. I'm like, and he's like, "That's great, Corey." And he slides the report back toward the middle of the table. He's like, "I understand you put a lot of work into this and to get these results, but these didn't have any impact on my business. I didn't get a single new case." And
Mm.
that's what matters to me. And that was like that stomach drop
Mm.
moment. And that really
You can
taught
lead
me
a
a
horse
lot.
to water, but you can't force them to drink, right?
Absolutely. And so I, to that point in my career, had looked at KPIs and looked at my job, and then it's kind of toss it over the fence or hope that the dots are connected inside the business of my client. And that was a hard lesson. The good news is, got to sit down with him, went to his office, sat down and really talked through what a qualified lead looked like, what a case, how somebody turned into a case, talked to his staff who was answering the phones, and got to a point where there's redemption in the story where we
Mm,
were able to
mm,
be another 3 months in from there successful and hitting his goals. And so that was probably a career defining moment. I didn't probably realize it at the time. I definitely didn't. I was in like fix this mode and not like thinking about where that would go for me. But years later, the probably the big client success that I took all those lessons and things came together for me was with a large global third party logistics firm. And we didn't go through things in probably the easiest way and the concise way I would now in terms of processes that I have, but um, was able to utilize about an $80,000 marketing spend, all in on agency fees, media, tech, and
mhm.
drive over 1.2 million a year, with another over a million open in the pipeline, attributed directly to the digital marketing efforts.
Nice.
And that actually was the basis for the process I leverage now years later, but didn't realize that at the time. But in terms of numbers, sheer numbers, that was
Mhm.
a huge win that I'll never forget.
That's what people want. They want a return on their marketing investments, and they want, more money coming in than they're spending. So that's always a good thing when that can happen for sure. So
Yeah.
let's dig into it a little bit more. What are some of the things that you and you don't have to give away the farm necessarily, and you have a book that people can read, but what are some of the key components to getting that return, and maybe the questions that you ask with your clients, or just what are some triggers that help to make that happen, those numbers happen?
Yeah, and as I mentioned a moment ago, I didn't realize that story or that case study would kind of be a foundational aspect to building my process. But you mentioned the book, so the book is called the Digital Marketing Success Plan. But within it, I have a 5-step framework called
Hmm.
START. It's an acronym, and basically, I through the work and through all the pain stories from prospects and clients who've come my way, and many of the mistakes I made on the agency side over the years, and learned from, was able to finally get the process that I go through with new clients in that first 60 to 90 days of getting their plan and strategy built down to 5 steps that I can articulate and that makes sense. And so for a long time, I was kind of kept things proprietary and close to the vest. And yes, there is a trademark on this process pending, but
Nice.
at the same time, I got to a point where I realized there's more good I can do in this world by giving it away,
Hmm.
and for any clients where it makes sense for them to have me partner with them to help them walk through it, great. But putting it out there um, is what I really wanted to do. So that process starts with strategy, and that's the S in
Hmm.
START. And when it comes to strategy, first we have to understand and audit what we have and what we have of value in any brand or business or organization. Where is our equity today, so we don't accidentally throw out something, or we don't overvalue our blog or whatever just because we have a million posts, but understand what we can leverage from it, and the standing of it. Um, when we finish that phase, we come out of it with a goal, a defined goal, a measurable goal that's mapped to a business outcome, not to a set of marketing KPIs that would get us in
Hmm.
trouble if we go back to my story from earlier.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so it's understanding what true ROI is. I'm mapping that out. Then we move into the first T, which is tactics. That's where we can put everything on the table, everything from, platforms and channels that we use today to those maybe that we wouldn't consider as our first option, and go evaluate those, understand where our audience truly is and what the potential is of those.
Hmm.
Once we have that set defined, then we can get into the A, which is the application phase. And that's where we're looking at what assets we have, what assets we need. Is our website being our biggest asset online, at least, ready to invite people to the party, or to host the party, essentially. The R is review, and that's making sure that our reporting house is in order, not just, the dashboards and reporting systems as they come default out of the box, but also, do we have ways to see the all in ROI, measuring the cost of people, the cost of software of our in house teams or our agencies and partners, and all of that factored in, so we can answer the ROI for marketing investment,
Hmm.
answer with conviction when asked by the C suite or someone who may be a stakeholder who is connected to budgets. And then lastly is transformation, and that is pulling it all together and turning it into an actionable plan with resources lined up and ready to go. Because if I just think about one channel like SEO, for example, most
Hmm.
successful SEO work is that work is not all done with someone with SEO in their title. Typically, you need IT, you might need a developer, you might need a UX designer, a content writer. If you're in a healthcare or financial space, you probably have legal or compliance looking at things, and there are probably other stakeholders as well. So, understanding all of those and making sure that they're lined up so your plan doesn't just get put on the shelf as you put it into action. So those are the 5 steps, but there are definitely um, everything comes back to the strategy and the questions we ask there and the alignment we get there, because the rest of the steps then look at tactics or anything else through the lens of, do they drive to the ultimate goal, into that business outcome, and are we all on the same page with what we want to achieve. um, there are a number of stories, I know you you could probably share them back with me as well, of client who, or company who, maybe even all using the same inside baseball vocabulary in their company, but have 5 different definitions of it for each of the 5 people in the room. or different ways that they look at it from, if someone represents sales or someone represents product or customer service or finance or whatnot too. And um, getting through a lot of that is important. So we're not just living in tactics of doing the best practices or just doing a checklist or just blogging 3 times a month because somebody said you should, but doing it with conviction connected back to the ROI that you seek.
No, that's so good. I just thought of something. The A you said stands for application. Now, with the new technologies, it could even mean AI.
It definitely could, because as we're thinking about assets like your website or
Mhm,
flights of display ads or content that you might need as fuel for your tactics,
mhm.
how you produce it, AI may be a big part of that for sure.
Totally. Yeah, we have definitely been investigating a lot of the different new tools that are out there, and the benefits and drawbacks to each of them. And it's overwhelming at times, but understanding and narrowing and focusing on what is going to work. And I like the review, because then you can rinse and repeat what works, and then dump what doesn't. Right.
Absolutely.
So tell me more about the company that you have. Are you remote? Do you work with others? What's because you're in Kansas, right?
Yes. Well, I'm just on the Missouri side, but I won't pull you into the Missouri versus Kansas rivalries here.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Okay, got you.
I'm a
Missouri.
mile from the state line in downtown Kansas City, Missouri.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Yep. I guess I think I heard Kansas, and you're probably right. People just automatically think that you're in Kansas when you say Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh yeah, there have been battles and wars fought over between these two states.
That's okay. When I say Idaho, people are like, Ohio? Iowa? No, no, no. Idaho. That's so funny. So you have a team of people that work with you, and you've been doing this for 20 years. So that would be what, 2004 you started. Tell me
2005.
about your team and kind of how you work together, and
Yeah.
just how that all happens, and when you're working with the clients.
Yeah, so we used to be a full service creative agency doing everything from branding to websites to everything under the digital marketing umbrella. Over the past few years, we've niched down our focus into the things that we just do the best, seeking to be a specialist and not a generalist.
Hmm.
Um, that works to our benefit when we keep our eye on who the right fit partnerships are.
Hmm.
Um, sometimes that means we don't win work when we're only doing a segment of it and someone wants someone who can do the wide range.
Mm.
But our team is today structured around the two things that we love to do, which are search marketing, which both organic and paid, and websites, and for the right fit kind of target audience of how we do our WordPress site builds and whatnot. But our team is my key team is here in Kansas City, but we have some remote partners and we have a lot of flexibility. We have a flex policy and that allows for just getting in hours and commitments no matter really what the day of the week is. So if you want to work a lot early in the week, as long as you're not putting a teammate or a client in a bad spot at the end of the week. If you go off the grid,
Mhm.
we're in a good place, and we already have work from home Fridays. So tried to, while we're in person a lot together, at least our leadership team is here in one building in Kansas City. Try to have a little bit more hybrid mindset or flexible mindset to allow people to not feel like they're stuck in an office all day every day.
Yeah, we've done that before too, where work from home Fridays, or, you know, everybody takes Friday afternoon off, especially summer months, like summer Fridays. And, when people are out doing things, and, we have the four seasons here in Idaho. So people always want to go do something. And it's nice because then I can go golf in the afternoon on a Friday afternoon and not feel guilty.
Yeah.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
good. It's
Or
good for
pick,
leadership too.
yeah, or pick Thursday and work on Friday, depending on the weather, right? Not feel like
Yeah.
it's all bound to a schedule and that you just lost a slice of enjoyment in life.
And as long as the work gets done, right? I mean, that's what matters the most, and that your clients are taken care of. And I usually tell people, if you're not going to work Friday, that's great. Just maybe check in once, so that way, if there's anything that client has, then at least we're still taking care of them, but we can still enjoy the flex time, and it's a win-win for everybody, right?
I am all for it.
I'm sure I don't need to throw a bunch of statistics and percentages at you for you to know that most of us spend too much time staring at screens. Being able to consume your content on the go means that your clients and customers can listen and learn from you without being tied to their desks. With Hello Audio, your customers can put their phones down, power off their PCs, close their MacBooks, and get the information they need from you while they're, let's say, walking a dog, doing a jigsaw puzzle, washing the dishes, maybe when they're in the car or exercising on the treadmill, sunbathing in their garden. Well, Hello Audio makes it incredibly easy for you. No more hours spent trying to figure out tech settings or trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole. You can click publish on an audio feed in a matter of minutes and have control over who accesses what. So visit peppershock.com/offers and sign up for a free trial of Hello Audio. So where do you want to see your company grow and go within the next, I don't know, year, 2 years, 5 years from now?
Yeah, as technologies are changing and emerging, I still want to scale with purpose.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not scared necessarily of some of the changes. Many of them present opportunities for us to stay ahead of the game and to be positioned where we need to be as the experts in where search is going specifically with AI. But I have the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year goals that just a couple of years ago seemed ambitious, but as we get things better aligned and as we're excited about, everything is still on track and ahead of us. And that touches on everything from just purely the size of the organization to how healthy it is from a profitability standpoint, which then turns around and allows me to reward and retain great people, and ultimately for me to be able to continue to promote them and position them in the next step roles in their careers
Mhm.
as well. So there's kind of a big house of sorts, and not just one metric that we're setting our goals around.
Mhm. Well, good. I know KPIs, I like to call them kept promise indicators. Or, key
Nice.
performance indicators, but, and I love how you want to work with people's revenue, and not just the marketing KPIs, like you said, where people are sharing, your clients are sharing that information on some sort of scorecard or something to make sure that everybody's in alignment and you continue to grow their revenue. And that's so important because sometimes that doesn't always be something that's at the forefront of how agencies work together with their clients. And so I really think that that's a good way, because then now the client you have sees the value in what you're doing for them, which is super important.
Yeah, no matter how the technology changes and how, what our offerings look like, our deliverables, it doesn't seem like rocket science, but I get it. I live in this world and I know how fast paced it is, as you do too, of, it's hard to keep up, and sometimes it's hard to want to get into the client side of things more and into the business, politics or messes, or
Mhm.
or to be doing something that maybe or asking questions about categories that maybe aren't in our scope, especially if they want to keep us at arm's length. But um, as everything changes, there will still be the constant of the desire or need to have a thinking partner who can help problem solve.
Mhm.
And it's there are a lot of firms, and again, a lot of even personality types who, it's easier to just do what's asked or even bring great ideas and complete those. But um, not get into the what and why over on the business side, and especially when it might seem like a pointless activity in large Fortune 500 companies where they're siloed or firewalled off from things too. But
Mm-hmm.
I've learned one time too many that even when all the graphs are up and to the right, and even when, sometimes the marketing counterparts on the client side are telling me that everything's good performance wise, there it's demoralizing to lose a client or get fired anyway if a CFO or someone who can't totally connect the dots between the marketing activities and the bottom line
Mm-hmm.
um, ends up having to make a budget cut. That's the worst kind of way to get fired, is when every indicator is that we're doing a great job and then we get cut anyway.
Mm-hmm. I know. And that's the thing that people always say, right? The last thing that you should cut is your marketing budget, because if, you're going through some tough times, cut other things first before you cut out what you're doing that's working to get you the new business to begin with, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I
It's an
wish people would
investment.
know that, or like commit to that idea,
Yeah, well, and so that's where I relate it over to financial kind of terms, especially if we're talking, if a financially minded decision maker is having to sign off on or considering cutting the budget, it's an investment, and it should be looked at with a desire for return on, or an expectation of a return on investment, not just an expense.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really where accountability should come in on how marketing dollars and resources are deployed,
Mm-hmm.
to have accountability all the way through, and not leave it up to chance, or leave it up to someone to have to manually go connect the dots or use a feel whether they feel like it's working
Right.
test or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's dig in a little bit more. I always like to talk about tools and tech and, AI, like resources that people are using now, because there's so many, and I love to kind of hear some of the applications that you use, that you recommend and want people to know about. What are some of those things that you are leaning into more now?
Yeah, so we're very focused on AI and where things are going. So we naturally use a lot of Chat GPT and its latest models, but we're testing other things as well. We use Google Workspace as our kind of platform for running some of the basics of our business. So now it has
Gemini is just
Gemini
ingrained in it now. Yeah.
built in,
Hmm.
but we're using and testing other LLM platforms as well, and using third-party software where it's whether it's a feature or it's the basis of the software or SaaS. Pretty
Hmm.
much everything is trying to leverage, or some do it well, some are just getting started, but leverage AI in their tools as well. So I'm very
Hmm.
careful about making sure that we don't just buy 15 different tools that don't talk to each other. And so
Hmm. Hmm.
we're reevaluating our resourcing and project management system right now, which wasn't really planned. We're doing it kind of on a whim, though, because we don't want to go buy two other things separately that it doesn't do. So we're reevaluating that as well. But yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're really kind of, I try to audit how quarterly how many
Hmm.
different things that we're paying for and using, and something that's helped us is having an AI task force that's cross functional, so we can talk about what we're testing and how many different platforms we're using, and share together our learnings and consolidate some of
Hmm.
those platforms as well. And that's really helped us too, to not just be spread thin on 100 different tools.
No, that's really beneficial. We have to do the same thing too, because we beta test, or like we want to do the 14-day trial, and then sometimes forget to like unsubscribe or cancel if we're not going to use it anymore. So that's a really good tip there, to make sure that you're reevaluating what you are paying for. It's just so easy to plop in your credit card or your Apple Pay and like, oh yeah, that's what that's for.
Yeah,
Oops.
and then a year later realized no one was using it, or
Yes, that happens. And by the way, I was just going to share what LLM means to some people that might be listening, but it's like the large language model, which is a part of artificial intelligence, right? I mean, when you
Yeah.
say when you're using LLM, what do you mean specifically, just for those that are being introduced to the idea right now?
Yeah, and that's a great. I'm glad you asked this question. Thank you,
Mhm,
because there's AI is one of the terms that we all hear every day
mhm,
in business or consumer life or whatever it might be, and mean many different things to many people. So we see LLMs, which would be like the Chat GPT or Gemini or others, where this is the learning model or the model itself
mhm,
that you can go plug anything into and test and get outputs from. You can take it and create your own variation and create a private one and do things with that. So that's probably the most open-ended version or application of AI that's out there.
mhm,
A middle ground of using AI, I mentioned, software and third-party software. So if I go use a program, social media management program, it might have, they might leverage AI or their version of AI,
mhm,
or you tap into one of the LLMs to help tweak the wording of my blog or of my social media post, or to do some research on what I should be writing for. So that's using it in someone's third party model. And in many cases, it's getting harder for us to avoid just even on the consumer side of things, because if you go to Google and start Googling things, at the top of most of the pages now is what's called an AI overview, and that's Google using their model to
mhm.
return results generated using AI. So there's a whole bunch of different levels, but it's hard to avoid. And sometimes we don't even realize AI is built into what we're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, and Chat GPT is just one version of an LLM, but other things like virtual assistants, like the voice commands, like Siri or Alexa or Google Home or whatever it's called. I have Google, I think it's
Yeah.
Google Assistant, um, and the the rate at the acceleration that things are coming now, it's really fascinating to me to see how much people are leaning into using ChatGPT or any of these models that help you, right? It helps. What are your feelings on sort of the ethical side of using these tools? I mean, there's so much debate about how it's all kind of rolling out and if it's open source and if it's, you know, plagiarism or if it's, and I also teach at Boise State. So then we have kind of the academic side and I teach marketing. So I want my students to learn how to use these things because they're getting used in real life applications. But I don't know, it's always a fascinating question to say, how do we attribute the tools that we're using and how do we, make sure that we're doing things correctly or ethically or any of those types of things. But has us kind of been a conversation around your shop as what should we be doing and not doing?
Yeah, definitely having policies and guardrails are important. We have some
Mhm,
clients in financial and healthcare spaces and regulated industries with compliance that we just flat out cannot use it for. But regardless, a lot of our clients are under NDAs, and those who aren't, we still operate as if they were. And so we're not going to take any proprietary information or data that's not public and put it into an open source
mhm,
um, LLM like Chat GPT. And so I actually caught myself the other day, because I've gotten so comfortable with it as a
mhm,
personal assistant, essentially.
mhm,
And I'm working on a dashboard, a performance and financial dashboard for my company, that I was tempted to put some of my real data in there. And I thought I should probably put in some sample data or fake
mhm,
data,
mhm.
because I don't know, even though I don't think it's going to end up being a big deal on the web today, they could leak out the back end even a year from now. And so,
Right.
yeah, there's definitely a need to understand what you're putting in and what you're getting out of it and the risks associated with it. There's the part of me in the back of my head as a marketer and as a consumer that, I wonder where this whole thing is going and what this might look like in a year or two or 10. But at the same time, when I think about Just even a couple weeks ago, my wife, who's a research scientist, and I spent our Friday night in front of the TV on our laptops, sitting next to each other, both using AI from like 7 to midnight,
Mhm.
testing and finding some cool uses and incredible things that fall within our, the ethics of our businesses and what we could do. And for me, a lot of those are things that I was paying for 5 different third party software subscriptions to do and weren't doing things well. Or
Mhm.
a year or two ago, I was looking at getting a virtual assistant or someone to, be able to scale things that I wanted to do. And now I, don't have to do that. I can do this for almost free, and I
Mhm.
can get real time feedback and build context without going back and forth with someone.
Yeah, and building out reports and making pretty charts and graphs and things when it's, speaking of KPIs that we want to show and share, it does speed up the process tremendously of what you can do and how you can do it. We had an event a couple of weeks ago, and we do it every year, new marketing trends for the new year, and it we wanted to adjust the time frame for the speakers, so we just plugged it into AI and, told it what we wanted, and boom, it had a new agenda for us within like seconds. It's
I love
great.
it. Yeah, I found recently that anytime I come across a task that I'm not getting to on my schedule, so I can't make the time for it,
Mhm.
or I don't like doing it, so that's why it got pushed to the end.
Yeah.
I start tossing it over and seeing what AI can do to help me solve that, and that's been a great experience for the most part. There's some problems too, though.
Mhm. Well, yeah, and I remember when we first started kind of really playing around with it, I put in, who is Ray Allen? And, and I spelled my full name is Rayanna, and I put it in both ways, and I mean, it just spit out completely crazy information that was not even relatively close. But then it also, did some other things that were me. So I was like, okay, this obviously is not, you can't depend on it 100% because the information is going to be not accurate. And so fact checking, and that's what I tell my students too. I'm like, if you're going to use AI, that's great, but ask it to give you the source of information so that you can give credit where credit's due. But then also make sure that you fact check it, because it's not always going to spit out the right information.
Yes, we have just a fun example, not a scary one, but a fun one. One of my senior team members the other day shared in our Slack channel an example of something where one was just making up things. It was I think, I don't know the context, but it was really prompted with how do what are the instructions for baking potatoes?
Mm.
And, some of the things seemed pretty standard, or it was giving one way, maybe a way I wouldn't do it. I'd wrap the potato in foil, but it was like line a pan with foil, put the potatoes on the pan, coat them in oil and poke them with a fork 20 times. And so that's the one that caught him off guard. Like, he's like, that's very specific, and that is a high number of times. So he asked for its sources, and it quoted sources that, if you look at the 3 sources, all said anywhere between a few, like non-specific, like a few,
Mhm.
to one said 8 to 10, and one said 8 to 12. And so then he started challenging. I won't name the AI engine, but he started challenging it with, "Where did you come up with 20?" And
Mhm.
it couldn't defend itself, and it just made up 20. And it's like, well, this AI model has a lot of aggression right now, in
Yeah.
general, or just against potatoes.
Well, and being from Idaho, I mean, you got to get that right. It's got to be accurate.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. And speaking of AI, I've got some Mario music going off in the background here. Apparently, to celebrate the fact that I'm calling out AI, or
Mm.
arguing with me. But I was joking. I'm like, hey, well, don't push back on it too hard. Let's not make it angry. As we joke about where this might go in 10 years. But
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. Well, Corey, how can people get a hold of your book and or you and all the good stuff?
Yeah, so the book, I have a companion website for it. The title is The Digital Marketing Success Plan. And so that would be a really long domain name. So it's
Mm.
just the dmsp.com. That'll get you some resources. You can learn about the START planning process that I gave the quick overview of, and link you over to Amazon, or you could just go straight to Amazon, search for Digital Marketing Success Plan, and you'll find it there. If you are interested in any of the things I'm doing on the agency side, the agency is called Voltage, and we're found at voltage.digital. Or if you want to just see what I'm up to, or for any coaching, consulting, or speaking or interviews like this, CoreyMorris.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of the wonderful tidbits that you did today and nuggets of wisdom. I appreciate it, Corey.
Thank you. I enjoyed our conversation, Ray.
Excellent. And for those of you listening, the best thing that you can do for Corey and I is share this with others that you know that need to hear what we had to talk about today, and give us an Apple review or a Spotify ranking, any of the things that you know that you can do to support our show. And until next time, everybody, enjoy your marketing journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Want to continue the journey? Don't miss out on new episodes. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.